Good evening and welcome to this healing service from the Third Church of Christ Scientist in the city of New York. We will begin our service by singing hymn number 5. A voice from heaven we have heard, the call to rise from earth. Put armor on, the sword now gird, and for the fight go forth. The foe in ambush claims our prize, then heed high heaven's call. Obey the voice of truth arise, and let no fear enthrall. Hymn number 5. I will read now from the Bible and correlative passages from Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy. This week's reading was inspired by the concept Victory over Fear and Anxiety. Psalms. Keep thy tongue from evil, and thy lips from speaking guile. Depart from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. The eyes of the Lord are upon the righteous, and his ears are open unto their cry. The face of the Lord is against them that do evil. Do cut off the resemblance of them from the earth. The righteous cry, and the Lord heareth and delivereth out of all their troubles. The Lord is nigh unto them that are broken heart, and saveth that such as be a contrite spirit. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivereth him out of them all. He keepeth all his bones, not one of them is broken. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. Who forgiveth all thine iniquities, who healeth all thy diseases, who redeemeth thy life from destruction, who crowned thee with love kindness and tender mercies, who satisfied thy mouth with good things, so that thy youth is renewed like the eagles. The Lord is merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and plenteous in mercy. He will not always chide, neither will he keep his anger forever. He hath not dealt with us after our sins, nor rewarded us according to our iniquities. For as the heaven is high above the earth, so great is his mercy toward them that fear him. As far as the east is from the west, so far hath he removed our transgressions from us. Like as a father pitieth his children, so the Lord pitieth them that fear him. Isaiah. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows, and acquainted with grief, and he hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him out. Surely he had borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. Jeremiah. For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, say the Lord. Because they call thee an outcast, saying, This is Zion, whom no man seeketh after. Thus say the Lord, Behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob's tents, and have mercy on his dwelling places. And the city shall be bullied upon her own heap, and the palace shall remain after the manner thereof. And out of them shall proceed thanksgiving, and the voice of them that make merry. And I will multiply them, and they shall not be few. I will also glorify them, and they shall not be small. Look, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovery of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised, to preach the acceptable year of the Lord. Matthew. And Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues, and preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing every sickness and every disease among the people. But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion on them, because they fainted and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd. Now when he came nigh to the Now when he came nigh to the gate of the city, behold, there was a dead man carried out, the only son of his mother, and she was a widow. And much people of the city was with her. And when the Lord saw her, he had compassion on her, and said unto her, Weep not. And he came and touched the bier. And they that bare him stood still. And he said, Young man, I say unto thee, arise. And he that was dead sat up, and began to speak. And he delivered him to his mother. And there came a fear on all, and they glorified God, saying, that a great prophet is risen up among us, and that God had visited his people. Look, for I say unto thee, her sins, which are many, are forgiven, for she loved much. But to whom little is forgiven, the same loveth little. And he said unto her, Thy sins are forgiven. And they that sat at meat with him began to say within themselves, Who is this that forgiveth sins also? And he said to the woman, Thy faith hath saved thee. Go in peace. And a woman having an issue of blood 12 years, which had spent all her living upon physicians, neither could be healed of any, came behind him, and touched the border of his garment, and immediately her issue of blood stanched. And Jesus said, "Who touched me?" When all denied, Peter and they that were with him said, "Master, the multitude thronged thee and pressed thee, and sayest thou, Who touched me?" And Jesus said, "Somebody had touched me, for I perceive that virtue is gone out of me." And when the woman saw that she was not hid, she came trembling, and falling down before him, she declared unto him before all the people for what cause she had touched him, and how she was healed immediately. And he said unto her, "Daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith hath made thee whole. Go in peace." And as he entered into a certain village, there met him 10 men that were lepers, which stood afar off. And they lifted up their voices and said, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us." And when he saw them, he said unto them, "Go shew yourselves unto the priests." And it came to pass that as they went, they were cleansed. And one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, and with a loud voice glorified God. And he fell down on his face at his feet, giving him thanks. And he was a Samaritan. And Jesus answering said, Were there not 10 cleansed? But where are the 9? There are not found that return to give glory to God save this stranger? And he said unto him, Arise, go thy way, thy faith hath made thee whole. But I say unto you which hear, love your enemies, do good to them which hate you, bless them that curse you, and pray for them which despitefully use you. And unto him that smiteth thee on the one cheek, offer also the other. And him that taketh away thy clothes, forbid not to take thy coat also. Give to every man that asketh of thee, and of him that taketh away thy goods, ask them not again. And as ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise. For if ye love them which love you, what thank have ye? For sinners also love those that love them. And if ye do good to them which do good to you, what thank have ye? For sinners also do even the same. And if ye lean to them who ye hope to receive, what thank have ye? For sinners also lend to sinners to receive as much again. But love ye your enemies, and do good and lend, hoping for nothing again. And your reward shall be great, and ye shall be the children of all the highest. For he is kind on the unthankful and to the evil. Be ye therefore merciful, as your Father also is merciful. Judge not, and ye shall not be judged. Condemn not, and ye shall not be condemned. Forgive, and ye shall be forgiven. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, shall men give into your bosom. For with the same measure that ye meet, with it shall be measured to you again. I will now read correlative passages from the book Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy. Passions, selfishness, false appetites, hatred, fear, all sensuality yield to spirituality. And the superabundance of being is one of the side of God. Good. We cannot fill vessels already full. They must be first emptied. Let us disrobe error. Then, when the winds of God blow, we shall not hug our tatters close about us. The way to extract error from mortal mind is to pour in truth through flood tides of love. Christian perfection is won on no other basis. If the scientist reaches his patient through divine love, the healing work will be accomplished in one visit, and the disease will vanish into its native nothingness, like dew before the morning sunshine. If the Christian scientist has enough Christly affection to win his own pardon, and such commendation as the Magdalene gained from Jesus, then he is Christian enough to practice scientifically and deal with his patients compassionately. And the result will correspond with the spiritual intent. When we come to have more faith in the truth of being that we have in error, more faith in spirit than in matter, more faith in living than in dying, more faith in God than in man, then no material superstitions can prevent us from healing the sick and destroying error. That life is not contingent on bodily conditions is proved when we learn that life and man survive this body. The science of being reveals man as perfect, even as the Father is perfect, because the soul or mind of the spiritual man is God, the divine principle of all being. And because this real man is governed by soul instead of sense, by the law of spirit, not by the so-called laws of matter. Instead of blind and calm submission to the incipient or advanced stages of a disease, rise in rebellion against them. Banish the belief that you can possibly entertain a single intruding pain which cannot be ruled out by the might of mind. And in this way, you can prevent the development of pain in the body. No law of God hinders this result. It is error to suffer for aught but your own sins. Christ, or truth, will destroy all over supposed suffering, and real suffering for your own sins will cease in proportion as the sin ceases. Justice is the moral signification of the law. Injustice declares the absence of law. When the body is supposed to say, I am sick, never plead guilty. Since matter cannot talk, it must be moral mind which speaks. Therefore, meet the intimidation with a protest. If you say, I am sick, you plead guilty. Then your adversary will deliver you to the judge, mortal mind, and the judge will sentence you. Disease has no intelligence to declare itself something and announce its name. Mortal mind alone sentences itself. Therefore, make your own terms with sickness and be just to yourself and others. Fear, which is an element of all disease, must be cast out to readjust the balance for God. Casting out evil and fear enables truth to outweigh error. The only course is to take antagonistic grounds against all that is opposed to the health, holiness, and harmony of man, God's image. The physical affirmation of disease should always be met with mental negation. Whatever benefit is produced on the body must be expressed mentally, and thought should be held fast to this ideal. Be not afraid, said Job. The thing which I greatly fear is come upon me. My first discovery in the student's practice was this. If the student silently called the disease by name when he argued against it, as the general rule, the body will respond more quickly. Just as a person replies more readily when his name is spoken. But this was because the student was not perfectly attuned to divine signs and needed the arguments of truth for reminders. If spirit or the power of divine love bear witness to the truth, this is the ultimatum, the scientific way, and the healing isn't instantaneous. It is recorded that once Jesus asked the name of a disease, a disease which moderns will call dementia. The demon, or evil, replied that his name was Legion. Thereupon Jesus cast out the evil, and the insane man was changed and straightway became whole. The scripture seems to import that Jesus caused the evil to be self-seen and so destroyed. The procuring cause and foundation of all sickness is fear, ignorance, or sin. The fact that truth overcomes both disease and sin reassures depressed hope. It imparts a healthy stimulus to the body and regulates the system. It increases or diminishes the action, as the case may require, better than any drug, alternative, or tonic. Mind is the natural stimulus of the body, but erroneous belief, taken at its best, is not promotive of health or happiness. Tell the sick that they can meet disease fearlessly if they only realize that divine love gives them all power over every physical action and condition. If it becomes necessary to startle mortal mind to break its dream of suffering, vehemently tell your patient that he must awake. Turn his gaze from the false evidence of the senses to the harmonious facts of soul and immortal being. Tell him that he suffers only as the insane suffer from false beliefs. The only difference is that insanity implies belief in a diseased brain, while physical ailments, so-called, arise from the belief that other portions of the body are deranged. Derangement or disarrangement is a word which conveys the true definition of all human belief in ill health or disturbed harmony. Should you thus startle mortal mind in order to remove its belief, afterwards make known to the patient your motive for this shock, showing him that it was to facilitate recovery. Saul of Tarsus beheld the way, the Christ, or truth, only when his uncertain sense of right yielded to a spiritual sense, which is always right. Then the man was changed. Thought assumed a nobler outlook, and his life became more spiritual. He learned the wrong that he had done in persecuting Christians, whose religion he had not understood, and in humility he took the new name of Paul. He beheld for the first time the true idea of love and learned a lesson in divine science. Reform comes by understanding that there is no abiding pleasure in evil, and also by gaining an affection for good according to science, which reveals the immortal fact that neither pleasure nor pain, appetite nor passion can exist in or of matter, while divine mind can and does destroy the false belief of pleasure, pain, or fear, and all the sinful appetites of the human mind. What pitiful sight is malice, finding pleasure in revenge. Evil is sometimes a man's highest conception of right, until his grasp on good grows stronger. Then he loses pleasure in wickedness, and it becomes his torment. The way to escape the misery of sin is to cease sinning. There is no other way. Sin is the image of the beast to be effaced by the sweat of agony. It is a mortal madness which rushes forth to clamor midnight and tempest. Let's pray for our congregation, first in silence, and then we will say the Lord's Prayer together aloud. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Let's now sing hymn number 29. Breaking through the clouds of darkness, black with error, doubt, and fear, lighting up each somber shadow, filling every heart with likeness. That its holy power fills, comes the Christian Science gospel. Sin it kills, and grief it heals. Hymn number 29. Friends, this is the Third Church of Christ Scientist of the City of New York. It's a branch of the Mother Church, the First Church of Christ Scientist in Boston, Massachusetts. We hold Sunday services at 11 a.m. and Wednesday testimony meetings at 7:30 p.m. On these testimony meetings, we include singing hymns, reading from the Bible and the Christian Science textbook, and the opportunity to hear how people are living what they are learning from the study of Christian Science. We also hold services in Spanish on Sundays at 12 noon and Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. All our services are held in person in our church here at 583 Park Avenue in New York. We invite you to join us. We also hold our services online at Third Church NYC. Everyone is welcome. Third Church also offers Sunday school classes in person and online for children and teens. In Sunday school, the students learn how much God loves them and cares for them. They also learn about the Bible, the characters and the lessons, and the healing power of truth. For more information on time and classes, please send us an email, thirdchurch@ thirdchurchnyc.com. We invite you to listen to our English and Spanish talks on our website, thirdchurchnyc.com. You're also invited to an inspirational talk on Good Friday, April 3rd at 7:30 p.m., titled Resurrecting Our Christianity. It's a fresh view on what it means to walk in the steps of the Master Christian. It will be held by Brian Webster. We invite you to join us here in person at 583 Park Avenue, or online. We will have translation to Spanish also. Christian Science is a healing religion. Now, all of you present and online are invited to share experiences, testimonies, and observations about Christian Science, and to support our congregation with prayer. If you're listening by phone and would like to share a testimony, please press the asterisk, the number 6. Our technician is listening and he will activate your voice. You will have the floor. Please speak directly into the microphone. Do not use the speakerphone so we can hear you better. If you're joining us on Zoom, unmute your microphone. And you will have the floor.
Thanks for the beautiful readings. I'm grateful to be here this evening. I'm so grateful that the wonderful teachings of Christian Science, the wonderful truths which are explained, help me to uplift my consciousness, enlighten my understanding, and bringing a health and happiness to my life. I'm indeed grateful for that. Thank you for the beautiful readings. I'm very much impressed. The first, I was expecting the same the selecting number of 29, Christian Science, and the hymnal, breaking through the clouds of darkness, black with the error, doubt, and fear, lighting up each somber and shallow, with the radiance soft and clear, filling every heart with gladness, and that its holy power feels, comes with the Christian Science, gospel. Sin it kills and grief it heals. I'm indeed grateful. This wonderful understanding the meaning of the word, what Christian Science brings to our life. In the beginning, when I was introduced to Christian Science, it took me longer time because I was in a denominational Christian church. Of course, knowing the wonderful stories and many other things which I came to know through the teachings or philosophies, whatever it is. But when I was introduced to Christian Science, I started, the searching the wonderful truths. And it inspired me only through the Christian Science sentinels. I always used to keep the sentinels with me. I was new to the Christian Science, but I was very much inspired to know and understand what is Christ Christianity. It is through Christ which brought an healing to my life, to understanding, cleansing the false senses and false beliefs and false teachings, which certainly enlightened my understanding, gave me wonderful way of life, joy and happiness in my life. I'm indeed grateful for this Christian Science, the wonderful teachings which has totally changed my life. I'm indeed grateful for this.
Thank you.
Thank you for your readings. I'm enjoying very much the lesson, Christian Science lesson for this week on reality. It's all about kingdom of heaven. That's the theme that sort of runs through it. Whenever Jesus came into a community, that was sort of his stump speech, that the kingdom of heaven, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And you know, what is the kingdom of heaven? And that's what the lesson's all about this week. In the scientific interpretation of the Lord's Prayer, it starts out, "Our Father which art in heaven," and Mrs. Eddy's interpretation of that is "Our Father, Mother, God, all harmonious," that heaven was harmony. So the kingdom of heaven would be the kingdom of harmony. There's a teacher of the Bible that teaches online, Madeline Maupin, and she was relayed a story of she was in, I think, Australia or New Zealand, and came across a church, and the headline on the door of the bulletin board of the church was, "What if it's true?" and that was, and it conveyed a message, you know, to imagine. Well, one can imagine what would be a harmonious kingdom, and the teaching comes under the subject of reality, that the harmonious, the government of harmony, God's kingdom of harmony, is the reality. It's not something that you seek, it's something that you seek to have revealed. And the lesson talks about how does that revelation come? And Mrs. Eddy talks about casting out false beliefs to make room for truth. And you read from the desk tonight, how do you cast out false beliefs? How do you get these beliefs out? And the answer, read from the desk this evening, was to pour in truth through flood tides of love. And that to be very patient and tender and insistent. And there's another aspect to it that the friction of being a human, we have our material senses, which conflict with spiritual sense. Mrs. Eddy calls it that. It's the mental conflict between the physical senses and spiritual sense. So it's the argument is to refute, deny, or certainly not accept material sense of things, but to be more aware of a spiritual sense. We get a spiritual sense, I believe, through studying the law as it's expressed in the Bible, the stories, the great examples of God's love in the Exodus, the coming of Jesus. All these are great love stories, expressions of God's love. And I just appreciate the lesson this week so much that that the reality is the kingdom of heaven.
Thank you.
Thank you for the readings. I'm grateful for, I'm not sure if healing is the right word, but probably it is. But something that happened to me this past week. I take the subway to work, and that day I had my dog with me, and I was running to catch the train and looking in that direction and not at my dog. And my dog decided to run in front of me, and I didn't see it. And I went flying. over the dog and hit the hard ground in the subway with a lot of force. It took me a while to sort of come to. And the first thing I was grateful for was these two wonderful angels in the form of the MTA people, these two men who were just so kind and so good at their job. They knew what to do, and they'd seen the accident, and I think they were alarmed, and they told me not to move, and they knew it was one of my legs, and so they told me to make a couple of movements, and I did that, and not easily, but I did it, and after I did it a couple of times, he said, well, it's not, I don't think it's broken. I think he thought it was. And finally got me to my feet. And the whole time, I was thinking mostly, because when those things happen, you're sort of rattled, and it's hard to think of the truths that you need. And so the thing that comes to me many times in these kind of situations is nothing has happened. And you have to understand that nothing has happened. So we don't need to look for any consequences of something that never happened. I'm not going to examine whether I can walk or what might be bruised or what, all these things. And I just kept declaring that nothing had happened. And I'm not sure why, because it wasn't easy to walk, but I just kept going. Instead of going home, I went on to my studio with the dog and kind of holding on to things, but made my way, walking several blocks, and was on my feet all day. And by the next day, I was completely well. I was so grateful for the wonderful help that I got from the people who were so kind and good at what they did, seemed to know what to do, and didn't. At one point, they said, "Well, we need to call the EMS or something," and they didn't. And I was so grateful for that, and that they didn't then try to tell me not to get on the subway or sort of introduce any ideas that something had happened when I was holding to the truth that it hadn't. And they didn't. They helped me get through the gate and onto the train, and I thought that was really wonderful and a kind of an angel thing that happened as a part of it. So I'm just very grateful tonight for Christian Science and the truth that's always there for us when something seems serious, and we can just know that nothing had happened, and that was the truth, still is the truth. It's probably not even necessary to talk about it because it didn't happen, but that's what happens with us in Christian Science. We have these outcomes that are so positive that we even forget about them, and we shouldn't. I mean, we should and we shouldn't, but we should always be grateful for it, and it helps us to remember so that, like David said, you know, when he went up against Goliath, and everybody was very fearful about that, and he said, well, he remembered about the lion and the bear, and God had saved him from the lion and the bear. Well, he remembered the lion and the bear, even though he'd been saved from it. And in that sense, we need to remember when God saves us. So, just very grateful tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a similar subway story from 2 Sundays ago. It had nothing to do with me, and there was no Christian Science healing, but I was really taken aback by how much love was being expressed within that subway carriage. A young girl had an epileptic seizure. She had kind of fallen into me. I was kind of wondering why she was standing so close. And at first, for the first few seconds, I wasn't sure what was happening. I thought she was acting out or something. And then about 7 or 8 of us realized that she was on the floor and in crisis, and we all looked at each other, kind of wondering what to do. But I was so surprised that 5 or 6 people, all of them women, knew pretty much what to do. And 911 was called, and I think it took about 10 minutes for them to get there. The conductor had stopped the train, and he was knowledgeable and kind. And as I say, this is not a Christian Science healing. The EMS came, and she was bundled up and taken, and then the train went on. But and I sort of withdrew a bit, because it is difficult sometimes in those moments of crisis not to believe. So I thought, let me just kind of withdraw and not look, and do the best I can mentally. But it really was a good example. There's so many times, perhaps the majority of times, when subway riding is not particularly loving, kind, or socially acceptable. But this was 5 or 6 people banded together, and they knew exactly how to help until the right people came. And so I was heartened by that.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimonies and your company. Let's conclude our meeting by singing hymn number 69. Give me, O Lord, an understanding heart, that I may learn to know myself in thee, to spurn the wrong and choose the better part, and thus from sinful bondage be set free. Give me, O Lord, a meek and contrite heart, that I may learn to quell all selfish pride, bowing before thee, see thee as thou art, and neath thy sheltering presence safely hide. Hymn number 69.